Welcome to Module 3, Section 3 of your California Contractor License Exam Prep Course. In this lesson, we'll focus on reading scales and interpreting dimensions, two essential skills for every residential remodeling contractor. Construction plans, blueprints, and shop drawings are the language of building projects. If you cannot accurately read and interpret dimensions or understand the scale of a drawing, you risk making costly mistakes during estimation, ordering, and construction. For B2 contractors, these skills are crucial for preparing accurate bids, coordinating multiple trades, and ensuring that your work matches design intent and building code requirements. Let's start with understanding what a scale is. In construction, scale refers to the ratio between the size of a drawing and the actual size of the structure or object. Since it's not practical to draw a full-size house on paper, architects and designers reduce the size proportionally. Common residential blueprint scales include a 1/4 inch equals 1 foot and 1/8 inch equals 1 foot. This means that every 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch on the drawing represents 1 foot in real-world measurements. Scales allow you to convert measurements from the plan to actual dimensions in the field. Reading a scale requires the right tools. An architect scale is a triangular ruler with multiple scales printed on its sides. When using a 1/4 inch scale, you align a 0 mark on the scale ruler with the start of the line on the drawing, then read the measurement where the line ends. That reading tells you how many feet the line represents in actual size. For example, a wall that measures 3 inches on a 1/4 inch equals 1 foot minus 0 inches scale drawing would be 12 feet long in real life, because 3 inches divided by 0.25 inch per foot equals 12 feet. Interpreting dimensions on plans goes beyond simply reading numbers. Blueprints use a combination of drawn lines, dimension strings, symbols, and notes to convey measurements. Dimensions are typically given in feet and inches, often using the notation 8 feet minus 6 inches for 8 feet 6 inches. You'll see dimensions for wall lengths, door and window sizes, ceiling heights, stair rises and runs, and much more. It's critical to read these dimensions carefully and distinguish between different types: overall dimensions, the full length of a wall or building, partial dimensions, individual sections, and reference dimensions. Non-critical measurements provided for information only. Construction drawings may also use symbols and shorthand. A circle with a diagonal slash might indicate a diameter, O, while CLR means clearance and OC stands for on-center spacing. Understanding these abbreviations ensures you interpret the plans correctly, avoiding errors like placing studs too close or too far apart. When plans don't list every measurement, you may need to scale dimensions manually. This is where you use your scale ruler to measure lines and convert them to actual lengths. However, relying on scaling should be a last resort. Dimensions written on the plans are considered more accurate than scaled measurements, which can be affected by drawing reproduction errors or printer distortion. If dimensions are missing or unclear, it's best to request clarification from the designer or architect. Another important skill is verifying that plan dimensions match actual field conditions. Remodeling projects often involve existing structures that may not perfectly match the plans due to previous work, settling, or errors in earlier measurements. Always double-check dimensions on site before cutting materials, ordering windows, or building components. Field verification prevents costly mistakes and change orders later. Scales are not only used for floor plans. Elevation drawings show the vertical view of a building and may have their own scale, often the same as the floor plan but sometimes different. Detailed drawings, such as cabinetry or stair sections, may be drawn at larger scales, like 1/2 inch equals 1 foot minus 0 inches or even full size, to show construction details more clearly. As a contractor, you need to recognize which scale applies to which drawing and adjust your interpretation accordingly. Understanding scales also helps with estimating. When you know the scale, you can quickly determine lengths, areas, and volumes for materials without manually measuring everything on site before bidding. This skill saves time during the estimating process and allows you to prepare more competitive and accurate bids. Lastly, remember that errors in reading scales or dimensions don't just affect your own work. They can create conflicts with other trades. If framing is off by even a few inches because of a misread dimension, it can cause problems for electricians, plumbers, and finished carpenters, leading to delays and costly rework. Developing confidence in reading scales and dimensions ensures your work integrates smoothly with the rest of the project team. In summary, reading scales and interpreting dimensions accurately is a fundamental part of every contractor's job. It ensures that what's built matches the designer's intent, fits within the space, complies with code, and is completed efficiently. Mastering these skills prevents mistakes, saves money, and demonstrates professionalism to clients, inspectors, and other trades. As you prepare for the B2 exam, expect questions that test your ability to read scales, convert plan measurements to real-world sizes, and correctly interpret blueprint dimensions. Building these skills now will benefit you throughout your contracting career.